purpose, I know that we gave you information about today's presentation in advance, so we're going to be ready to dive right in and hear your presentation, and then if we have time left, we'll ask questions.
Perfect. Ready to roll?
Ready.
So on the way out, I had a couple of wonderful props, but the security people would not let me bring them in, a couple of glass jars. So I'll start with, as I was driving here, I passed by the mountain that is growing over there at the intersection between Briley Parkway, north of Interstate 40, and Ashland City Highway. A literal mountain of trash that is growing every day as that landfill continues to take trash from across our city and bury it. So that is one of the points in my proposal, is that I'm with the Tennessee Environmental Council. We're a nonprofit that was founded in 1970 to improve our environment and our communities and our public health. And so I became CEO earlier this year in January and submitted this wonderful opportunity for an appropriation from Metro Council, or from the Metro the City of Nashville. And our key programs are Tennessee Tree Project, the Watershed Support Center, as well as Sustainable Tennessee. And these programs are all designed to improve our communities, our environment, our public health. And so the proposal I have in front of you is geared towards supporting the planting of trees in Nashville, as well as improving the residents' participation in composting their food waste in our backyard, as well as improving the way we recycle in our curbside program. And these all directly relate to existing programs of Metro Nashville and are designed to reduce that mountain. Now, we can't reverse the trash and pull it back out of the mountain, but we can stop it from growing. In fact, that mountain of trash, that landfill, will be closing within the next 5 to 10 years. It's reaching capacity, as well as our largest landfill, which is Middle Point in the Murfreesboro area, the largest landfill in Middle Tennessee that receives the majority of our trash, as well as other communities around here surrounding Nashville. So these are things we need to figure out. And now the program, the Zero Waste Nashville Initiative, which is part of Public Works, is designed to reduce our trash going to landfills by 2050 or 2035. So basically in the next 20 years, we need to divert 90% of our trash that is currently being buried. And where's it going to go if we're not going to bury it? Because we're going to keep making trash. This is part of the nature of our civilization and as human beings. But we don't need to be burying it. And we have a recycling program, curbside recycling, that will be doubling, thankfully. We appreciate the announcement from Mayor Briley to double the pickup frequency to twice a month. I have 2 bins and they're overflowing every month. And my trash, meanwhile, is out of the 90-gallon cart. I have about that much of it full with trash because I recycle and I compost. And one of the props I brought in was the jar of compost from my own backyard bin. And one of our programs is called Compost Your Compost. That's one of the programs we're seeking funding for, as well as our recycling education, as well as our tree planting initiative, our 250K Tree Day, all designed to improve our communities here in Nashville. And so one of our programs, the Compost Program, teaches people how to take their kitchen scraps, the food waste, the things they're not going to eat, which is a large amount of trash, believe it or not. It's a bulk of a large part of what we are burying right now in our landfills, that mountain of trash over there on Briley Parkway. We can be putting the food scraps in a contained area in our yard, and it turns into a healthy soil amendment. And that's one of the props I had, was this jar from my own compost pile that I would be pouring on my garden that basically enriches our topsoil, our gardens, our landscapes, and our lawns, wherever you want to put it. But it's something that we don't need to bury. We can turn that into a new resource without sending it anywhere. We just put it in our backyards and it turns into compost. So that we have a series of workshops and educational opportunities for people of Nashville as well as statewide, but this is one that's focused on our Nashville, Metro Nashville initiative to get people to do that. Pull it out of the waste stream, put it back in our gardens. It's easy and safe. And recycling, and one of the problems we have with recycling is that people are putting things in our recycling carts that cannot be recycled, so oftentimes that ends up going into the landfill anyway. People want to do the right thing, but they don't have the information. So we have a project that is bringing that information to them. We're knocking on doors. We are engaging people in looking inside their recycling carts to see what can and cannot be recycled so that the whole system improves. And that's a project we started, and both those projects are funded in part by the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, 2 grants from their materials management grant as well as an education and outreach grant. And so we've been actively going out and showing people the right way to do it so that the whole system works. And the third thing is, last year we planted 10,000 trees in Metro Nashville, engaged about 1,500 volunteers in that program specifically from Metro Nashville. And this is what we hand these out, and we coordinate all the logistics to get these trees from the nursery in East Tennessee out here to where people can just come pick them up in their community and plant them on 250K Tree Day. It's the largest tree planting event that takes place in America that involves volunteers and communities. It's something we put on. Our organization organizes the whole thing, gets all the funding to make it happen, to provide these seedlings either at no cost for the people that can't afford to pay $1 per tree, or those that can make the $1 donation, they have that option. And so part of our funding request supports these trees and allowing us to get more of those tree pickup locations in the communities where they are needed, where the people want to be planting trees. And that's one of the best things we can do to improve our property as well as our whole community, is to get people out there planting seedlings that are going to grow for generations, literally for decades. And right now we're losing tens of thousands of trees to development, and we're not going to slow down development. It's a booming city, but we can replace a lot of those trees. And we do the largest number of all the other organizations out there planting trees. The Tennessee Environmental Council is engaging more volunteers and planting more trees than anyone else. And so we want to stay on that trend. Like I said, we did 10,000 last year alone, and Mayor Briley's Root Nashville initiative aims to plant 500,000 by 2050. So we're supporting that. The trees that we plant count towards that goal as well. So in a nutshell, those are the programs for which we're seeking the support from appropriations.
Can you tell us just a little bit about your overall funding streams? You
Yeah.
mentioned TDEC.
TDEC is one. We have a couple contracts with it's the Non-Point Source Pollution Program, which is part of the Department of Agriculture in Tennessee. We are applying for an EPA grant to support this program, the trees, as well, mostly in disadvantaged communities where people just don't have the access. So I'll answer more of the funding stream, but one of the things we do is most of the people that come to sign up to plant trees in their communities come to us through Facebook, but not everyone's on Facebook, so we want to do a little more proactive outreach and set up those points in the cities that often aren't checking their phones for Facebook. But we do a lot of private grant funding. Community Foundation in Middle Tennessee is a funder. The Frist, well, actually not the Frist Foundation for this program, but the Memorial Foundation provides funding. A number of corporations, Bridgestone, for example, is sponsoring the Tree Day, and
That's a good mix.
it's a good mix of corporate,
Yes.
private, and individual donors. And we get a lot of people doing the $1 per seedling, and that's the overall program cost for 250K Tree Day. It comes out to about $1 for every tree we plant. So we pay for these at cost at wholesale from the nursery, and then if you combine the marketing plus the staff time plus the material cost of the trees, it comes out to about $1 per seedling. So that's why we ask for that $1 donation. But not everybody can or is willing to do that, so we have that free tree option for them.
Okay. It's really informative. So, you mentioned Public Works and you talked a little bit about recycling. Do you specifically work with the Beautification Commission in any capacity at all?
Right. I know some of the Beautification Commission members, but we haven't partnered per se on recycling, composting, or this, but that would be something that we will be doing for sure. I mean, moving forward, because I take that as a recommendation. And yes, I think that would make the effort more holistic here in Metro to be working with the commission members. One of our staff members is on the tree advisory board that.
Yes, and we have a forester and everything.
Yeah, Cynthia Hernandez is on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the Metro Nashville Zero Waste Task Force as well, so we're part of that. And we're tapped into the food waste initiative, the Nashville Food Waste Initiative is part of that. So we're plugged into all those, but I have not directly spoken with the Beautification Commission, but I'll take that as a recommendation moving forward. Thank you.
Okay.
And what was your annual operating budget?
It is right now 467,000, just under $500,000. And so, by most nonprofit standards, we're not required to do a fiscal or financial audit, but we do one every 3 years, and we will be initiating one this spring as well.
Good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's very informative.
Or would you like my card? We have my contact info on the letter there. So
Got you right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
if you think of any other questions, feel free to reach out and let me know.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you for your
much.
time. Thanks
And
for
thank you for
considering us.
joining us, young lady.